Hi, everybody. We all know manifestation is a very popular topic nowadays. But have you ever stopped and asked yourself, what is this world if I can manifest things I want? Is this an illusion kind of thing? And also, more importantly, why? Why do I want these things? Is it coming from the ego or perhaps from something deeper within us? That's what we'll speak about today. We'll start with the information Noel channeled and dive into the many rabbit holes we encounter. Lastly, and as with any information we come across nowadays, use discernment. Take what resonates, leave what's not, especially considering the power our beliefs may have on our ability to manifest things in our world. A little bit of a spoiler alert for what we talk. And with that said, Noel, are you ready?
All right. So this is the channeling of March 6, 2026. And I put the title there, Pure Creation or Illusion, based upon the content of this information that came through. So just Amir and I, we were discussing earlier about who we channel, who's coming in. So just to give you an overview, I set the space and put up all the protections, and I come and create a space of love and light. I ask that whomever wants to give information for humanity, some kind of information that'll teach us where we are at now, and in love and light. And as they enter my field, that we embrace and share love and exchange of love. And it is a beautiful, beautiful hug of energy of love. So that's where I move forward and invite them in even closer. So we may begin an interaction of communicating. So it begins. What is in bold is the channeled information. We begin. From the love of the divine, may this love emanate forth to each one whose heart beats with the breath of life itself upon this beautiful earth. And in a vision, I saw many women, one with short hair, almost bald, another with a sheer fabric resting upon her head, falling on the sides of her face like hair, but underneath was loosely braided hair. And then another, an older woman with dark hair, held up loosely as if in a bun. Her garment was long and soft. This energy being says, and I was in my asking really quickly, like, who am I connecting with? And this is where this part came in. The energy being says, yes, your race seeks to label and identify everything. We ask for the names of a being that contacts us, but have difficulty accepting that an energy source has existed as many beings. How do you name many? The vision was some of the women in our history past on Earth that was experienced by them then. For the sake of not drawing upon creating any illusory identification around the information to follow, the names of the women's lives experienced will not be disclosed, as information of them has been skewed, and the mind will create deeper illusions based on his story, not history. And what I was sensing was that the women experienced are part of what is going to be today. But if we identify with the current version of who we think these women are, it could skew the story. And they don't want that to, or at least, it would confuse us maybe. So they didn't want to confuse us, but they maybe just want to bring the following information so that we may entertain our own psyche, our own consciousness of discovery and questioning, could this be? Opening up to just staying open. So let's continue. To this day, your scientists claim to have discovered material artifacts that prove the existence or corroborates that a historical conjecture, hypothesis is now true. That the artifacts prove it is so. So it is now recorded as history. If one knows all is energy and consciousness exists within a physical vessel, then consciousness is energy, yes? If one understands that to create or manifestation begins in a conscious energy before physical manifestation can materialize, then does not one question if this manifestation is one of illusion itself? Did the scientists discover an artifact, or by conscious and intense energy focus toward any preconceived thought, have manifested an object into reality? Would then, by his or her own what if assumptions, know this as an absolute truth of another's or any such history? What if, metaphorically, what if the Shroud of Turin, where they claim to have found such a cloth, is a physical manifestation of one whose constant energy was so focused that it manifested in physical reality? What if the Shroud of Turin was just a metaphorical tale of the veil between worlds, or even the one over one's own eyes? What if someone created the shroud as a veil over a deeper truth? Will you find truth in the materialistic, or will you find truth within? So how does one create now to manifest in the physical? Pure desire, or desire distorted by ego. Do you wonder if the scientist is manifesting by pure desire? Does that one feel it is so driven to prove something, or become great, or fueled by greed, self-service, or service to all? For pure creations are where one asks, is this for the highest good of all? Does this benefit the all? Awareness of asking this question alone has one approaching from a compassionate perspective and various consequences observed. Self-service would not ask this question for the benefit of others when the I comes first. Perhaps ego is actually I go. However, I go in peace is far from self-serving, because even if I go, it is the peace I am that I leave with you with loving gratitude. Blessings to all. Well, Amir, back to you.
I think maybe you can start by explaining what the Shroud of Turin is for those who are not familiar.
Sure. And I had to look this up myself. The Shroud of Turin is a length of linen cloth bearing the image of a man who is alleged to be Jesus. The Shroud of Turin, also known as the Holy Shroud, is a length of linen cloth that bears a faint image of the front and back of a naked man. Because details of the image are consistent with traditional depictions of Jesus of Nazareth after his death by crucifixion, the shroud has been venerated by Christians for centuries, especially by members of the Catholic Church, as Jesus' shroud upon which his image was miraculously imprinted. And there are a lot of information you can research too on this. So I'm just reading a portion of it. Um, they've even taken samples and tried to do like DNA readings, but I would question, how do they know it's Jesus? Do they have his DNA? Just wondering.
And I think that's the entire point of what the beings told you, right?
Yes, and in this piece, I believe they were also trying to talk about how we manifest here, and with enough focus and energy, a lot of things can manifest for people. So, with enough intent, was this cloth manifested for someone? Does science do that too? People say, well, this is true. And this is a fact, but maybe years later we find out that fact is skewed. It's not really true. And we find new avenues and new discoveries. So we put so much faith into, you know, one thing as, set in place, the word. I don't know. What do you think? Because it is, because I say so. I don't know.
It reminds me when I thought about this, it almost reminds me like an extension of the placebo effect, right? But not necessarily within the body of the person, but in something else. So, placebo effect, we see that if we believe in something, like when people believe that a sugar pill is actually a medication, what we see is that there are actually tangible results, physical results of healing or improvement within symptoms. And but now when you take it out of the context of medical, what if I believe that there's going to be an artifact of something? Or what if I believe that I'm going to find it? And here I am finding it. And I would say, even, what if it's not just one scientist? It's a group of scientists. And now you have a group of we all creator beings, I believe. So when you have a more group of people all passionate about what they do and believe in something or wants to find something or to create something, guess what? It's probably something is gonna happen out of this. And
Manifestation.
yeah, and I think what they're alluding here to is that this world is a simulation in one way or another. They call it delusion. So one of the takeaway from this, I said, oh, okay, so they're actually saying that. I don't know if this is what you got too, but they're actually saying that the manifestation itself in a physical is actually an illusion. Did you get it too?
Well, is it illusion or delusion? I don't
And
know.
I said, And when I say illusion or delusion, I don't mean to discredit this life or things that we manifest or people are manifesting. I don't mean it in a way to discredit it, to say, oh, it's an illusion. No. But I feel that, well, maybe they meant both of these things. So they mean that the illusion is the manifestation. The delusion is to think that this is the artifact from the history, right? That's probably what they said. Maybe the being said that the illusion is the manifestation. The delusion is when a person now starts to believe that that is not a manifestation of their own thoughts that they created, but this is actually coming from the history. And then they come to their own conclusion with believing in this delusional thought that, oh, I just found an artifact that proves something in his story, not knowing that they actually manifested that.
And they did not know. I think humanity, where we are today, have deeper understanding of energy, of manifestation. I mean, if you look at the spiritual movement, today we have dived into deeper topics of understanding. I don't think these kind of topics are present before. I mean, we're going into the multidimensional understandings and cosmic. There's just so much that we're gaining more knowledge on than we have had before. But I relate to what you were saying. Yes. Yeah. It says here, and the mind will create deeper illusions based on his story. So deeper and more confusing illusions would be more delusional, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if the mind goes crazy, look how deep that mind will go. Right? If you were like, oh, say the scientist wanted to win a Nobel Prize. He's going to fight to game or create as much as he can think of to prove his hypothesis or whatever is true. And with enough concentration on that, he will eventually manifest something, right, into reality. But the deeper information is, well, slow down. Are we creating things from a pure creation or one that's from the ego? So now you will understand how illusory manifestation is and how it can get delusional.
Especially when people like scientists or others are passionate about this. I think this is where the manifestation power just happens with the passion. It's a lot of energy when we're passionate about something. When we are passionate about something, there's a lot of energy.
So, but yes, true. And from a previous channeling that I'd done before, it stressed upon how the structures that are falling away are the ones that were created by the ego. So if those are falling away and the truth is coming more to the light, right, around all things, I think it's a good thing because that opens us up to new possibilities of creation too.
And they added another layer to the manifestation where you want to be aware of whether you're driven from the ego or there's actually a pure creation, which means it's considered others as well, and it's not just about me. So it's a very interesting thing to consider, because you hear a lot of people that consider themselves referring to themselves as mastery. They have mastery in manifestation. They say that. And indeed, they have achievements in this life and so on and so forth. At the same time, is that an ego-based manifestation? And I think they're bringing a layer here that suggests, okay, this is possible, but there's another layer to it. There's another aspect of manifestation that can be used for the benefit of all. Are you aware of that? And now go manifest this. And also have a look at what was already manifested before. Do you perhaps want to re-evaluate your beliefs? Perhaps that which you thought was an artifact or other situations where you see things in real life, physical, and we say, oh, it's here for physical, it has to be true. Then you can revisit. We can revisit all our belief systems, and that would enable us to see a more closer version to the truth. If there is truth in an illusion, that's another philosophical debate. But you know
Mhm.
what I mean? I think there's just
I
another
do.
level of manifestation, which now we can all, as a society, as a species, just consider, teach ourselves to consider, because we've been taught differently in many ways, especially in the modern world.
Yes. A lot of creations were done for greed through the systems that for money. Granted, you want to provide for your family, but someone maybe with more on the distorted ego side would be looking at money and fame for popularity, right? Um, I'm not sure. Um, that's something more to dive deeper into, whole different subject.
I think a good example of manifestation is war. So,
Hmm.
and when I say manifestation is, there is, let's say, a conflict between two nations. Not mentioning names, it's all the same. To me, it's all the same pattern. But what's interesting is that they're dedicating a lot of energy, passion, driven by fear, driven by the need, the one to control the others, etc., to be superior. All survivals and fear and others. But at the end of this, they manifest weapons of mass destruction. We have too many examples in his story. So the question is that a good example of what they're saying?
I think so because contemplating any kind of war, who wins? Um, and of course, is war the highest good of all?
You're
What is
literally creating something that harm intentionally, per design, your own brothers and sisters. And then the delusion is that you tell yourself, oh, but that is defending me. It's protecting me. And I would be the one who says, I don't believe so. I think that is the delusional. And you alluded to that when you said systems do not last that are based on those type of manifestation. And
yeah
so,
that
yeah,
yeah that was channeled about the energies we are in now of watching structures crumble and fall that were created by distortions. Um, so yeah, I war. There's many lives that are affected. It's hard to see if it is for the highest good of all. What is the greater outcome?
they gave us some keys. They say, look for compassion. Is there compassion in your heart whenever you observe your creation or the manifestation? Or is there something else? Just look at we speak about these things a lot now, and we always come down to the compassion, the kindness, as tools to actually tangibly look and analyze situations, tangibly using our mind. It doesn't really, we don't have to be spiritual per se to even do this exercise. Are we
Mm-hmm.
now behaving or engaging in activities that are compassionate and kind? Or are we doing something else? And if it's something else, can we ask ourselves, why am I so passionate about this? No judgment, just saying, and try to look inward.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
There's so many
And
rabbit holes. This is a rabbit hole that can be driven, can be
I, it,
dived into so many different directions. What
it's
else
like
do you?
when you're in a war, it's like asking, are all wars bad? Or are some wars good? Because if it is for the greatest good of all, then, you know, is there good coming out on the other side of this war? Maybe the war is balancing out an old energy. What if it is karma on both sides? These are even deeper questions we could go deeper with.
I have,
Strategically speaking, though,
yeah.
there is peace that can be brought about by a decision, a greater peace, then my goodness, what a decision for a choice for whomever is making that choice. A lot to consider.
I have an answer to that that I feel in my heart. I know a lot of people would disagree with me. If you
Mhm.
consider that everything that happens in what we call the physical world starts with energy, starts with thought, and you add to that the fact that we are all immortal, eternal beings that have existence beyond any story or species, then you can ask yourself again, will I, by destroying existences or species of others or alter their existence now for the benefit of others, is that the only option? I don't think it's good or bad. Good or bad is a polarity of what we as humans are trained to think about. But if you remove the good or bad and just ask yourself that, I have a feeling in my heart that war is never the right answer. It is always the short term. And I think Mother Teresa once said, maybe I'm wrong, take it with a grain of salt, but she said you cannot bring peace with war.
I think
So
I channeled that um yeah, where there's hate, there is no love.
so now you can be smart. Somebody can argue and say, oh, yeah, but when I do this war, I don't do it because I'm not loving. I'm doing it because I'm loving. And we can go to all these deep philosophical discussions. But I think at the end of the day, there is, I believe, there's always another way.
If the creator would say to honor all life, all sentient life, then how do you justify killing another soul created by God?
You
You're
can
looking at
create,
your brother.
yeah. I don't know if you can actually kill a soul, but you can certainly end existence of a species of that soul. Or you can, for example, manipulate the soul or the energy to, let's say, go through a temporary amnesia and all these kind of theories we hear. So, but how can you justify harming other?
Mhm.
And we do it, we humans do it all the time. And we feel good about this because we feel that we did the right thing. Again, good, bad. But I feel that if you take into consideration that we as our true selves have wisdom and experiences and knowledge beyond time, space, so much so that we have seen it all, or we've pretty much close to that, if you will. I think there's going to be probably less war in those kind of higher realms, if you want to speak like this, and more observation. And it's as nothing, I don't think it has anything to do with karma and all the other. It's just the understanding that you understand the concept of war and you also understand the concept of diplomacy and you can choose. And I think diplomacy is a tangible thing for us humans because we already have examples of this in our beautiful planet. Our society uses diplomacy every day. So at the same time, though, what we see with conflicts and war, when a lot of innocent people dies, is that diplomacy is not there. There is just a manifestation of other energies. I can totally understand why the people that say that war is needed, and they can even show the logic of it. But at the same time, when you think about it, well,
Mhm.
logic is one side of the brain, which is more analytical. But where's the compassion and the kindness and looking at unity? And unity also means, yes, when I see another species that right now is threatening me and my family and potentially can harm me, but I remember my true self, what do I do?
Mhm.
What do I do? And it's not, for humans, it's a very hard question. I'm not
Mhm.
trying to be a hypocrite here.
Yep.
It's a very,
You are. They're faced with a big choice. One, they need to think about the consequences that could follow after to make the wisest choice in the moment. That's where we would ask Susan, how does it affect the others? All, right?
actually,
To make the
that can
best
be,
choice possible.
and that can be a wonderful question to ask those beings that you channel with, because they are certainly beyond time and space. And let's see what they would answer, or let's see what their opinion would be about war and about conflict in a galactic scale, and see how, because it probably reflects Earth. What we see Earth, I believe strongly, is reflection of outside. It's not new. It's not unique to Earth in a way. So,
Then all conflict based on division and separation,
yeah,
right? And that division and separation long enough soon gets hostile and creates a war. I mean, if you think of wars in general, and you start separating the people that have been affected out, you're sooner or later you're going to come back and find the one who started it and the other one involved. Then it's like, wait a minute, we've been fighting, believing in a certain cause when this is really just hate, division, and separation between you two.
fear and fear.
Kind of, right? I mean, that's one way to look at it. I don't know.
Here's an example, and if it makes somebody feels uncomfortable, please forgive me, but here it is. So we have examples in our history
Hmm.
too long ago that atomic weapons was used.
Okay.
And so, and cause harm that we don't even understand even today, harm to people, to the planet, to animals, and so on and so forth. But here's what I think. how many people were actually involved and engaged, including scientists, on creating those technologies? A lot of people. It's not 100. And I don't think if it's even 1,000. So now when you take all these group of people
Yes.
and you ask each one, did you know what you're developing? And what is the use, the intended use of those technologies? Did you know that? And
Probably
if
didn't.
I think they did, Noel. If you build a missile or a rocket that is based on, and there's nuclear weapons there, and there's tension with certain nations, there is a
But
lot of infrastructure that needs to be to support that needs to be that
yeah.
needs to exist to support that. So, and I don't want to. I'm not saying it to judge those people. I'm just asking, as if you ask all these group of people, which is a lot of people, smart people, did you know? And they would say yes. It just shows we can learn something from it, because a lot of the times with us humans, we see events in the past now, and then we say, oh, our ancestors were like so barbaric or so primitive. And it's always coming to the same. But our actions now, look at your future self in a few hundred years, probably going to say the same thing. So,
Would those ancestors have made a different choice? What if they were made a choice from their ego and now they feel regret for having created something that harmed many, and they look back and say, I wish I made a different choice then.
well, we have the
More loving, or you know what I mean?
100%. And now that's what I'm saying. We have now the luxury and the opportunity to look at enough history, enough his story, that's those stories and narratives, and make different decisions. Not as it starts with one person, and then it begins with one country or one group of people that would set an example, and others, and more. Instead of using the technology and in order to create the delusion that you have everything in control.
Mhm.
That's what I see. And that's why we see conflicts that are just never ending. Where it's like you're going to get new technology, new narrative, it's the same thing, in my opinion. I know other people we disagree, but it's just, I think there is an opportunity for each and every person that hears this message to look inward and ask themselves that question. It can be as big as war, but it can also be small and as big as conflict with other people.
Mhm.
And I think that is manifestation too.
Well, I do like the closing. I go in peace.
Maybe they already.
Because it's what we would all hope for every being.
I wonder if it was intentional that they say the peace, and then all of a sudden we're talking about war.
I know. Well, who would have known we'd go here and discuss and tear this apart so entertainingly? However, I go in peace is far from self-serving, because even if I go, it is the peace I am that I leave with you. Need to be more like that. I have to adopt that as my go-to phrase. It's adorable.
So I think any closing
Do you
statement?
think?
Yeah.
Yes. So since we were talking about war, do you think the other side could say that to the other side? I go in peace. Is far from self-serving. It is a peace I am that I leave with you. If their opening statements were, I'd like peace, not war. Wow. What an opening that would probably bring about more solutions
You see the
and
conflicts in our
prevent
world.
a war. Yeah.
You see, speaking from a purely manifestation perspective, you see the conflicts in our world today between different nations.
Mhm.
There are so many ways to see it, including who is actually causing it behind the scene, pulling the strings. But one thing I think, where is all the energy going? Is the energy going towards developing technology of weapons of mass destruction, or is the energy going towards creating diplomacy and peace? And creating peace, bringing people from both sides and other sides, speaking about this, not with strategy, not with behind the scene already wanted it to fail so they can pull up their new fancy shiny missiles or whatever. No. Like, is there something in their hearts of the people involved who wants to bring that peace? And I don't see this. I see that it's all manipulation and strategies to use more technology and to continue the conflict. But if
Well,
we're
if that's
committed, if
if
we're
their
committed,
strategy,
yeah,
I'm sorry, if their strategy is in their ego, because somebody
100%,
wants to win,
yeah, 100%. That's one.
why are they competing for what? You play a stupid game, you're going to get a stupid prize, which is the death of your citizens. And then you'll be, what, kingdom of one. You only have one citizen left to rule over. How's that going to help anybody? I'm sorry. Just find it
Oh,
hilarious too. But you get what I'm saying too. I get what you're saying.
that's exactly what I said about your channeling. It actually opens up different streams of consciousness when you just think about it and let it pour through you and then just see what comes out.
Yes. Um, I will be totally honest when I say, when I channel and I allow this information to flow and come through, I'll sit for days after it, like, what the heck? It
I did it
makes
too. I
me,
remember both of us.
yeah. Ah, yes, it makes me dive in deeper and ask myself those questions. And it makes me think, and it makes me open up to being understanding this on a deeper level of how to be more compassionate, how to approach choices and decisions in a new way. I like the challenges it presents in a loving way. It's fun and entertaining too.
One more thing, which is interesting, that would be my concluding remark, if you will. But if you see everything in our world as manifestation, and you can ask yourself, rather than saying, oh, it is what it is, and accept it as a fact,
Well,
an opportunity to look a bit deeper and see what is the energy that caused that manifestation and what is the state of being that caused it. And it doesn't have to be my manifestation, it can be others. You can be wise by learning from others people's behaviors rather than wait until you do the same mistake. So there's wisdom there. So I think this is something they said. They didn't even allude. They kind of said it. So that's also something very, very interesting, to just view our world, including everything that we see, as a creation, a manifestation, and just wonder and be curious about what is the energy that created that. And I have a feeling that for different people, they would be guided slash attracted towards certain things that might resonate with them more. Meaning, some people would be curious in one aspect or one topic, one area. Others may be curious about other. But the concept is the same.
yeah. What a wonderful interaction. Thank you, Amir.
Oh, thank you, Noel, as always. And thank you for our listeners. And if you have any comment or anything you want to share, we would love to be hearing from you. Just comment below and have a beautiful rest of your day, week. night, and so on.
Cool.